Hi, my name's Billy, I read books, and welcome back to my channel Book Reading Billy, and welcome to my video on the 10 best science fiction and fantasy book titles. Now, I haven't come up with this idea by myself. I was inspired by watching a similar video from Jonathan from Words in Time, where he did his best 10 science fiction book titles. Now that got me thinking, well, I read science fiction and fantasy, so I should be able to have more books to go at to come up with some good ideas for a video. And I've come up with 10 absolute stonkers. And I'm not overselling myself there, they are stonking book titles. So, starting off in the best possible place, at the beginning, we'll go with 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City by K.J. Parker. Now, that is a fantastic name on its own. But when you take the name and that cover as a whole, that would win hands down the competition for best book title and best book cover combination. I love that title. It just raises so many questions. Why 16? How many ways can you actually defend something? And what are those 16 ways? So is this going to be a big siege? Is it going to be a big battle? What tactics are going to be used? Why are they fighting? Why is someone having to defend a walled city? And just that in itself, it's not just the fact it's a castle or a fortress or a citadel. No, it's a city. So a city is huge. It's bigger than a castle. So you're defending a walled city for 16 ways. So this is going to be a huge, huge battle. And I just love that name. Because if you think about this, and this is what I like about the vast majority of these book titles is, you can just imagine what a bland, generic book title this could have had with a little bit of extra thought and without a little bit of extra care. So you could have had The Day of the Endless Siege, or you could have had The Battle That Never Ends, or something like that. But no, 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. That is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Another book title, this one's for science fiction, that I just love. I've read this book. I hadn't read the previous one. I've read this, and it's The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is just such a beautiful book title, and it just feels cute is the way I think of it. It's cute, it's quaint, it's beautiful, it's lyrical, it asks so many questions. Again, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. There are so many questions just from that book title that it raises. And having read the book as well, it's such a lovely book. It's a well-written book, and the tone of the book and the style of the book and the story fits in with that title so well. I just love it. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So those two I've just spoken about are lovely titles. They kind of ask questions about the book itself that you're going to be reading almost. And the next two I'm going to talk about are just beautiful. They just flow off the tongue. You enjoy saying them. You enjoy reading the name. You enjoy hearing it being said. They are just beautiful. The first one being The Lies of Lamora by Scott Lynch. Now, I've read this, and other than it just being a beautiful sounding book title, it fits in with the nature of the book as well, the nature of the story. Lamora is one of the characters. He's a con man, he's a swindler, he's a thief, he tells lies. So The Lies of Lamora, not only is it beautiful to say and hear, I could just sit here for this whole video saying that over and over again and I wouldn't get bored. I love it that much. But it also fits in with the story, as does this next one. And this is a little bit of a cheat because it's a series name rather than the book name itself. But The Kingkiller Chronicles, again, beautiful, beautiful. I'm just going to keep on saying these over and over again just to entertain myself. The Kingkiller Chronicles. I've not read this. I believe it's a chronicle of a character relaying his life story and basically how he killed a king. So again, it fits in with the nature of the story, but it's so beautifully, it sounds just so beautiful to say. Now, I think that with that one, the bit I like the best is the word Chronicles. It's not a word that's commonly used, and I think that word chronicle just invokes something, whether that be like oldie worldy, medieval. It's not a tale, it's not a story, it's not a fable, it's a chronicle. And that word itself just sounds maybe magical even when you say it. So having that in a book title is always just going to sucker me in, and I'm going to get enjoyment just from seeing that word. The next two are quite different to what I've spoke about previously, because firstly, I don't even know if I'm saying these right. I've not read them, but just the names themselves just fascinate me. As soon as I saw this on Goodreads, as soon as I heard someone talk about it, I was fascinated, because I'm just curious as to what it means, what it's about, and how could the author even come up with this. And this is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I don't know what it means. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But in its own, that's just a combination of numbers and letters. But what relevance is that going to have to the story? What story has been crafted that creates that, but it equally sounds nice as you say it? What would just be just random numbers and letters, but instead it says Nosferatu? I don't know, but it fascinates me. I'm really, really curious to read it. And the second one, similar principle, is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. Now, is that 1Q84? Is that supposed to be, does the Q meant to be a 9? That's what I always think. Is that supposed to be 1984? But in the story, the 9 is being replaced by a Q. What is the relevance of that Q? Is it IQ84? Is it supposed to be IQ84? I've no idea. I've got a funny feeling with that one, with 1Q84, that is going to give me a headache. I think that is going to be a book that I'm going to have to think a lot about as I read, and it's not going. I'm going to have to work for my understanding of what it means. The next three are on this list because obviously I like them, but it's because there's a specific word in each title that elevates it to me. Just a single word, and if it wasn't for that word, that book title would not work on me. It would not have the same impact. It would not have the same standout ability, if that's even a word. And I'll tell you the first one now so you can see what I mean. And that is His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Now, this is the book series title, not this specific book, but a lot of people know it as His Dark Materials, and it's the word his. If that book was just called Dark Materials, it would just be a bog standard average title, really. Like the book by Blake Crouch called Dark Matter. Okay, yeah, it's called Dark Matter. This could be Dark Materials, but his. That word his captured my attention straight away when I first heard it. Who is he? What are these dark materials? And just having that one word, his, is so clever. It just asks so many questions, and it just makes it different and unique to anything else I think I've ever seen, really. The second one is similar, the single word that fascinates me and that I think elevates it up from just a normal, standard, generic title would be A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. You could take, without that word, you could just call it hatred. You could just call it a time of hatred, or a hatred of clans, a hatred of whatever, a time of hatred, or something like that. And it would be a bit generic, a bit bland, but no, a little hatred, just a little, not a lot, just a little. And if you've read any book by Joe Abercrombie, you will know that there will be a lot of hatred in that book. There will be a lot of violence. There will be a lot of pain and a lot of darkness, but also just a little bit, some humour in there as well, just to make you laugh. So A Little Hatred just adds that little bit of spice, that little bit of extra, just that little bit of brilliance to it, because it elevates the title above just something generic. It's a little hatred, because hatred on its own isn't enough. You just need a little bit, just a little, and I love it. And the third one, in a similar vein, where it's just a single word that elevates it up to higher standards for me, is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. Now, the word in that makes it for me is what? The Shadow of What Was Lost. That book title could be anything really, couldn't it? The journey to recover the lost article, you know, something along those lines. The shadow of the stolen sword, or theft of swords. There you go. That is an actual book title. What was that? Was that Michael J. Sullivan? Theft of Swords. Okay, yeah, great. Pretty bland, pretty generic. A sword has been stolen. Amazing. But this is The Shadow of What Was Lost. And it's the what that I like so much. Because it's not being specific. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Because this thing that we're not going to tell you, and we're going to phrase in a slightly different way, has been lost, but it has cast a shadow. Now, is it a shadow from the thing that has been lost? The thing that's been lost is causing the shadow, or has the fact it's been lost caused the shadow? And a shadow onto what? And how was it lost? It just raises so many questions in such a brilliant way, but in a non-formulaic way. I really, really like that title. And to be fair, the other titles in that series are lovely as well, but that is my favourite. And this final one is, well, it's just 2 words. It's just 2 words. There's nothing fancy about it. It's nothing particularly clever, but it's just 2 words that together just work. And that is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. Now, this works for me because the word Leviathan doesn't seem to be used that much in modern day, in the current times. I don't often hear many things referred to as a Leviathan. You hear things referred to as a giant, a titan, an ogre, a monster. But Leviathan? No, nothing really gets referred to as a Leviathan. That's like at the next step up. If this is where a giant is, and an ogre, and a monster, and a tyrant, well, Leviathan is up there, isn't it? So the only thing I can ever think of as a Leviathan is like a Leviathan of the deep. From, I don't know, like you see those pictures of like a massive squid coming out from the deep and like just devouring a ship. It's a Leviathan of the deep. And these things don't exist, apparently. Not that we know of anyway. So Leviathan Wakes is set in space. And the scale of things in space is obviously much, much bigger than it is on Earth. So if it's a Leviathan of space, how big is this thing? And any Leviathan, if I've ever seen anything referred to as a Leviathan, it's never anything nice. You never get like a cute, cuddly Leviathan, do you? A Leviathan's something that's going to cause a lot of damage. And if you were ever in the company of a Leviathan that was asleep, that would probably be a pretty bad day for you. But then just imagine if that Leviathan woke up. You'd definitely be having a bad day. So the fact that this Leviathan in space has woken up just makes me think, what the hell is that? How big is it? What is it? What's it going to do? Why is it woken up? And I bet it's going to be pretty pissed off. So I'm going to want to read that book. I've not done, but I do. So what do you think? Do you like those book titles? Do you agree? What other ones would you have had on that list? There's so many. I could have chosen others. There was other Joe Abercrombie ones I could have put on here. Last Argument of Kings. I really like that as well. But those are my top 10. The 10 I like. They were in no particular order. I hope you like it. Let me know your favourites down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye.